Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Lady Vagabond Lifestyle. This is a mini album that we've been making. It's a design project for Scrap and Create, and you can get all your supplies there. And there will be a link down below for the cutting guide for this project as well as for the supplies. So we are at this point. So last time we made all our pages and started matting, and we're going to continue matting today. So I told you last time for these two pages I had an idea and I was going to cut the mats on camera because it was going to be kind of complicated. Well, I could not make that idea work because it was absolutely going to require two 12 by 12s. And I only have one 12 by 12 and the other 12 by 12 I have is the patterns. So I'm just going to save that idea for another day. And this is what I ended up with. So this is from the 12 by 12 patterns. And we used the 8 by 8 or one of the 8 by 8 versions of that here. And I'm okay with this sort of mirroring, even though it's just, relatively the same, because these are pockets. So it's going to be covered anyway for the most part, but I really like the way it looks. So I'm okay with that. And then on this side, this and this are also from the 12 by 12 patterns, and they're the same sheet. I'm using this side here and then this side here, and I haven't picked out the insides of those. And then for this, let me show you. This is from the 12 by 12 and I cut it from here. Okay, so we have these to put down, so let's go ahead and do that. And I might as well start with this one. And this is just art glitter glue. I just put it into these icing bottles because it's easier. Excuse me, I'm hoarse. My allergies are crazy today. And pardon me, for these continuous mats, let me tell you how I cut these. I cut the strip the full height of the paper by 5 7/8 wide. I trimmed a little bit off the bottom just to give me more room at the top. So, and then I cut this mat first, okay? And then I cut this next mat 2 inches, and that's going to go here, and then I cut this one I think 4 inches from the next bit up to make the continuous design. And these are all inked with Distress Oxide Vintage Photo. Let me turn that. Go. And then the last one. And we don't need too much ink in the part that's going into the pocket. I mean, not ink, glue. Although you don't need any ink on the part that's going into the pocket, but get that lined up. That looks good. And when I'm doing pockets, I like to use this little flexible ruler to get in there and really make sure they're burnished down and that there's no glue seepage or anything. Okay, so that's that one. And then this one, this is the back of this one. Move that up so you can see. go. I just noticed my nail. I use nail wraps because it's just a pain to get to the nail salon these days. And I have never had any problems with them. They always stay on for literally weeks. But I haven't worn them in a long time, given my nails a break. And I think these are like a year old. And they are... I've only had them on 2 days, and they're just popping off. So pardon my missing nail. If you're the person who once left me a comment that you couldn't stand to watch my videos because my nails are a mess, sorry. Here we go. Ooh. What is this? Hang on. I don't know what I did there. Other than put that down super crooked. Okay. Oh, it's still super crooked. My goodness. Well, it is what it is. Maybe I cut it off because look how wide that is. Might have to come back in and do a little something to make that look better. Although it's fine when it's closed, you can't really tell. Okay, so that, okay. So we have this, and that all done. And then we have, oops, I just knocked over. Okay, so this is actually page 8. It's going to be for 7, so we'll deal with that in a few minutes. This is the one that has the 2 flaps, and I am using this piece here, and then this is from the patterns. I think it might be from the regular 12 by 12. This is definitely from the patterns, and I use the same piece for here, here, and there. Okay. Goes like that. Okay. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. Now that actually goes here. Okay. So here I left it plain because I always like to have a plain page in my books. But in this case I decided I wanted a little more real estate. So I cut 2 pieces 6.5 by 8, scored one long side, from the corners tape, and this is the side that's going down into the hinge. This is the right side, is the one that's to the outside, and this is where we're going to attach this. I think. Let me remind myself. Doesn't really matter, honestly. Yes, that's where I want it. Okay, so this is going to go here, which is to the right. Making sure I'm right side up. Okay, double checking. So I'm just going to line this up here. which I hope it's lined up because I cannot see it at all. I know, you know, I say to you guys that, oh, I can't see it. I'm not being facetious. I have a thing where I really actually cannot see. I would never make fun of, you know, a sight thing by minimizing it. It's like, oh, I'm so blind. I cannot see. So that's okay. I manage. Okay. So that goes like this. Okay. So then this one, the second one, let's do this. This is going to get attached to the flap we just attached on the opposite side, like that. Okay. Again, we're going to line it up best we can. And match it to the other side. And there we go. Okay. So now we have this going on. And that's definitely going to give us more real estate, right? Which was my goal. So now, before we do anything else, we need to add our magnets. And grab those. In almost every video I get asked about my magnets. I'll try to link them down below. I mean, it's not a secret. I just, I don't know. I just never seem to put it in there. Okay, so I'm going to need a fair number of magnets, I think, for this. I'm gonna need the glass mat that's under here is magnetic. That's why that just pulled down like that. Hang on, put that there. All right, so I definitely need magnets to hold this down, and it's pretty big. You could do it with just one here, but I am going to use two. So let's do that first. And then we're going to need magnets over here. Now, what you could do, if you want, before you attach the first flap down, you could attach a piece of seam binding that goes across and comes up as a tie if you don't want to use magnets, because this is going to take like 8 magnets to do. And the tie would look fine because this is, while it's steampunky, it's also a little feminine, so I think you'd be fine. I mean, you're fine anyway. It doesn't. 6 one, half dozen the other. Okay. So we're going to put 2 there. And let me get the matching magnets. There, I'm going to put one there because I'm going to need another couple. And let me grab a scrap. That's a scrap from Klimt, if you haven't seen that album. Go. That is going there. Okay, that's good. Oops, should not have done that. Yep. I did not adhere these down. I just flipped them over. Duh. Let's see if I can get this in here. The reason I put this scrap in here is because these magnets are so strong that I need that separation in order to be able to get them down and then up again. Like, if I didn't have that there, when I lifted this up, it would just lift those magnets with it. Yeah. Okay, just making sure that one's a little close to the edge, but I think it's fine. I don't have any trouble matting that. Okay, so that's that. And then, hang on. There. Then we have this. And there's magnets under here, and I'm wondering if I can leverage that right there. That way, I don't have to use so many magnets. There we go. Okay, so they're a little further from the edge than I normally would put them, but we're going to do that rather than use 8. We can get away with using 6 magnets. And get some of these out of there. Okay, and then this is going to go like that. Okay, perfect. And tape. So when you get to this page, we have, it opens like that, and it also opens like that. So, okay, so we have this spread as one. This piece is kind of individual, but also needs to go with these. And it's got to go with this, because this is what it's facing. Okay, let me choose some mats and I'll be right back. I am back, and let me show you what I have here. Okay, so I glued down these, and then we did that on camera. And off camera, I went ahead, this is just a scrap from this same strip that I did these with. And then I didn't have any more, but I took this from the cover of the, sorry, I just realized you can't see it. Took this from the cover of the patterns. Okay. I feel like my camera is zoomed in more, but that's okay. Better for you, I guess. Anyway, so that's that. And then this one, let me show you. I went ahead and just glued down the mats because, what side is it on? It's on this one. I went ahead and glued down the mats because I figured, well, you don't need to see me gluing down just plain mats. So I used this one here from the 12 by 12. And then here, this is from the 12 by 12. Love this one. Might be from the patterns, but I think it's from the regular 12 by 12. And then this is from the patterns. And then this, of course, is the piece that we just looked at. Okay? So that is that, and that is going to be, okay, there, right? Yes. So we have all of our base pages done. We have got her, with our pocket. There's a pocket here, belly band, flaps, pockets, envelope, flaps, big flaps, like that, and flaps here. So that is that. That's all the pages. Well, I mean, you know, we'll probably do other things to those and inserts and all that, but that's that. Now we have somewhere. Hang on. Okay, it's really large. How did I lose it? Okay, there it is. Cover. Measurements are in the cutting guide, but basically it's 8.5 by 6.5 with a 2 1/4 inch spine, wrapped in craft. And I have a video for how to do this. There's a whole construction basics playlist for different methods, and it's in there, but I will try to remember to link it. So before we end the day, we need to wrap our spine with our rice paper so that it can dry. It dries pretty quick, but I always like to do it at the end of a workday so that it can dry overnight. So now let me find it. Okay, here we go. This is the one that I have. It has the bookcase on it, which I love. So let me pull this. This is just a plastic bag that I'm going to use as a palette. One of these days I'll actually buy one, but it doesn't seem, you know, worth it for glue. Okay, and I use Stamperia Cola Velo rice paper glue. You can use this, which is great, or you can use Mod Podge, matte Mod Podge, although I'm told that can stay tacky. I don't know. A matte medium would work, if I remember, which I tend not to. I'm sorry. We'll try to put a link to where you can get this. Okay. Although it's not necessary, like I said, you can use other things. Good. Okay. So what we're going to do with this is just center it side to side and top to bottom and wrap our spine. And we are going to add mats to the front and back cover, so you know, I don't know how much of it's going to show there, but it will show on the spine, and as it turns out, that's great because that globe or armillary or whatever that is going to show. So what I am going to do, just because I want this to be reasonably straight, is line this up with a line on my mat or your board, whatever you've got. And how is that? You could measure, but I just don't see the point. Okay, that is pretty good. Okay, glue. You do not want to put this down flat and wrap it. I have, but it's really not the best way because in the end it's going to have to be in this configuration, not flat. So you know, best to wrap it while it's in the shape it's going to be in. And I am just putting glue, as you can see, only here on the front and lining that up with a line on my board. And before I adhere it, I'm just double checking. I feel like I want this in just a little bit. Like that. Like that. Okay. And then we can do some more. Now that it's stuck down in that, you know, that area, it's going to be where I want it, so it doesn't really matter too much at this point. And And you can get glue further, out from where the paper is going to end, because A, it's going to dry pretty clear, though it's got a little shine, even though it is matte, and we're going to matte over it. Good. Okay. I'm going to turn it over. And I'm just going to get right up under here with my brush so you can see. Try and get my arm out of the way here. So I'm just sort of getting right in there to make sure there's glue there. And you want to work fairly quickly with a fairly big brush so that it doesn't dry before you get the paper adhered to it. Okay, there we go. Oh. This is why I like using a glass board. It's easier to clean when things like that happen. And I do have my glass board right under this mat. It's just, I think it's interfering a little bit with my lights. Okay, there we go. Go. That looks good. Okay. Now when it's wet, it's a little bit easier to tear, so do be careful with it. I'm just rubbing down any little bubbles, remembering not to worry too much. The texture is part of the charm, and you're going to mat over a good chunk of this. Now, before we do our coat the outside, we're going to fold these to the inside. And you want to make sure that, let me lift that up. You want to make sure you get glue right along this edge. And make sure it's snug, but don't tear it. If you do tear it, it's not a crisis. It's very easy to sort of patch it back together with some glue. It's just like decoupage. You can see I'm just gonna put the adhesive on the top. Don't fuss too much. Don't worry about getting excess glue here, because you don't want a huge amount. You don't want it to get too wet, but you are going to mat that, so the hinge will be there. this side. And this side's pretty long. You could trim it, but I'm not going to. It's thin. It won't be a problem. I definitely feel like my camera is zoomed in. I'm looking up to make sure you can see. I had moved it from the last time, while we were on a little break to charge it, and I went out with my sister, and I think when I put it back, I zoomed it. Okay. Again, just give it a gentle tug to make sure that it is firmly against the edge of the book. And I'll turn it again so I can see. And this does obviously dry clear. So this white cloudiness that I'm adding to it will not be there in the end. Okay. Now I'm going to add some glue to the front. I get it along that edge where it's curved, where it bends. Okay, there we go. Now let me close that. I'll wash that brush. Okay, that looks really good. I love that rice paper. It's going to look even better when it dries, so it's clear. So, that is that. I feel like this is probably a short video, but if it is, I'll be right back. I'm going to check and see how long this video is. If it's really short, then I'll just leave this overnight and be back with you in a second. But if it's longer, you'll know because this video will be ending. I decided I had plenty of time to put the pages in the book. So I've made my hinge and I'm going to walk you through it. I have a whole video on how to do this in our Construction Basics playlist. And also in the last album we did, Klimt, I believe in part 2, I did a pretty detailed walkthrough of how to do it. But let me show you. So this is 7 7/8 by 9 7/8. Okay. I put this in my scoreboard. I scored it at 2 inches, right? Then 2 3/8, okay? Then I did 2 half-inch scores, so that would be 2 7/8 and 3 3/8, right? 2, yeah, I think. But anyway, it's 2 inches, 3/8, half, 3/8, half, 3/8, half, 3/8, half, 3/8, and then you'll have 2 inches left. Okay? And then on the side that has the dents, the one you just scored, in the half-inch one, so you're going to have a half-inch here and a half-inch here, put a 1/4-inch piece of score tape, and you want to put it quite close to the score line between the two, so that they're not centered, but they're close together. You can see that. So you have that in each pair of half-inch spaces. Then on the back, in the 2-inch space plus the 3/8, because remember you scored 2 inches and then 3/8, and then at the end you had 3/8 and then 2 inches. So you want to fully tape that. Then in the half-inch pairs, you want to put a piece of 3/8 inch tape in one, then you can leave the other one empty. And then you're going to have 3 3/8 spaces, here, here, and here, and you're going to put a 1/4-inch piece of tape there. At least that's how I do it. You could always use glue for all of this if you prefer. Strictly up to you, but I always use score tape. So what I'm going to do is fold these between those half-inch spaces. I'm looking for my, here it is. So this tape's going to come over and adhere there. And then I'm folding it back. Now we're never going to fold on that extra, that first and last 3/8 score mark, the one that's at 2 inches and then score. That's just a guideline. Okay. Fold that up. Okay. And we have made a fin, which we are going to attach our pages to. Okay. And we're just going to repeat that with the other 3. And this is, you could do, if you're doing 5 pages, you're just going to add an extra, go 3/8, half, 3/8, and then your 2 inches. You don't have to do 2 inches. In an album this size, I would often do 1.5. But I just did 2 because I had the paper, so. And I figured it was just easier to give you the measurements if I started with 2. I don't know why. Okay, here we go. So now we have 2 fins. Okay. The last one. Oops. Okay, there we go. There's our hinge. Now, I generally eyeball this when I'm putting it in the book, but if you want, you could measure it. And it is 6 1/8. So what that means is if you want to, you can measure. Our spine is 2 1/4, right? So we could make a mark at 1 1/8, right? 1 1/8. And just do that. Oops, well, that wasn't very well. Hang on. Helps if you can actually see what you're doing, which I can't. Okay, well, I'm still off. Good heavens. This is why I eyeball stuff. Okay, that's better. And what did I say this was? 6 1/8? 6, yeah, 6 1/8. So it's going to be 3 1/16, right? From there. And then make a mark there. And I have no idea if it's going to work. I always eyeball this, but I figured I'd try it for those of you who want things a little more accurate. So if I did that and line this up there, and of course you need to center it top to bottom as best you can. That's not actually bad. Kind of worked. Who knew? Okay, so what we're going to do is remove the tape just from that first section. Okay? Then you want to line this up, top and bottom, to try to make sure it is even. And then put it down. Take a look. That looks a hair crooked to me, but not too bad. Is it bad enough that that's what I get for measuring? It looks a little off to me. And this is why I only do one side, so I can fix it if I have to. I'm going to, because I feel like it's a little crooked. And at this stage, you know, if this is a little crooked, well, your page is going to be a little crooked. And a tiny bit, I don't care, but if it's too much, when I feel like this is too much, I'm going to fix it. And this is why I use tape to do this. Because if I had used glue, this would be down and that would be that. Okay. And it's only a little bit off. I want to get it where I can see it. Okay, and that's not really going to stick until the stuff dries, so. This is undo if you haven't seen it before. If you've been watching my channel at all, you've seen it, because I use it all the time. And it will safely lift the tape, but it won't affect the stickiness. So once it dries, you can re-stick with the same tape. And it dries pretty quick because it's some kind of chemical, who knows. Some sort of petroleum product. Oh my goodness. What a big yawn. Yeah? Really? You had your dinner, you ready for a nap? No? Little miss here jumped up right on my computer and stopped the audio recording. So I had to restart it. Hopefully we can edit that. Anyway, so I've removed the backing from more of the tape backing. And I am not stretching this, okay? I'm just making sure it's flat. I'm not tugging on it. I'm just making sure it's flat. You don't want to stretch this at this point. You don't want to stretch it, and you don't want to smoosh it together. You just want it to go down nice and flat. Go. Now, I feel like this is further to one side than the other, so that's what I get for measuring. It is. There's way more room on this side than there is on this. But it'll be fine. I'm not going to take it up. What I will do is perhaps do some sort of embellishment in the front that'll make that not matter. So if you measure, do a better job than I did. I usually do a lot better if I eyeball stuff, but I thought you guys might want to see how to measure it. Clearly I didn't know how, or I just didn't do it right. But that's okay. And I could take that up. The undo would take the whole thing up, but I just don't think it's that far off that it's a huge problem, because when I look down at it from here, it looks pretty good actually. So that's off, but not by too much. And hang on. Yeah, that's the front. That's the front. I want to make sure I have the right one. This is the front, this is the back. Okay, let's go ahead and put our pages in. And let's see, that is a back page. Okay, that goes like that. And that's the front page. That and that. Okay. And I like to start at the back. And what you want to do, you formed a page when you made your base pages. And you want to make sure that, you formed a tube when you made your base pages. You want to make sure that tube is what you're putting on this hinge. And it's a little tricky when you've got as much going on as we have on this one page here. And what you want to do is put it on and leave yourself about because there's so much bulk here, I'm going to say almost 1/8 of an inch at the base. Okay? And what I do is take off a couple of inches of the back of the tape, slide that down till it's where you want it, press, remove the rest of the tape, make sure it doesn't slide down on you. Go, and then get your tool in there and get the other side. Okay, and then I am going to open that so I can give that a good press. And that looks pretty good. Okay. This one, well, this one doesn't have anywhere near as much going on, but we do want them even, so we're going to leave this one up the same distance as the first one. And I'm doing that. Okay. Whoops, I tore the paper. Oh, turn this upside down. And let's get that rubber on it. And then this one. And this is why the fact that we're not putting our pages all the way down is why we put our tape up near this fold, because we don't want it showing below the pages. We don't want it sticky. Now, if that should ever happen to you where your tape is sticking out down below and it is sticky, just put some powder on it, like a sheer face powder, and that will take care of the sticky. Okay, get that down where I want it. It's a little high. Okay, go. Okay, and this one. I feel like, hang on, you know what, I have got tape here. I don't know if you can see that. Looks like the tape tore and I didn't notice, so it's not fully adhered right there. Hang on. Okay, that's better. Make sure I have the right. Okay, there we go. These. Okay, I love this rice paper. It's so pretty. Okay. Awesome, coming along. All right, that's going to be the end. Not the end. The end of today. And then next time we will work on our covers and whatever we're going to do here and here. So I don't even know what that is yet, but we'll figure it out. And maybe work on the outside of the covers as well. And we're going to do a chain closure on this one, so we have to plan for that. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. There is a cutting guide down below. It is free. Just go and get it. It's for this project. And then this is a design project for Scrap and Create, and get all your supplies there. I will have all that linked down below as well. And I have links down below to my Amazon list, which helps the channel if you click there and shop. And then I have a discount code for my beautiful glass mat that you can't see right now. It's under this one. And some other stuff, and my Patreon. So thank you so much. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.